Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Taylor, and I'd like to welcome you to the Language of Life podcast. This is where we tell interesting stories about the lives, pros and the cons of people and the success of people. And we hope that through this podcast, it will be a tremendous encourager for you to be able to move forward and focus on what it is that you would have take place in your life. Today, I have with me Danielle LeBlanc, which is a brokerage administrator at Cushman & Wakefield. And we have Angela Polisky, who is the Senior Director and Project of Development at Cushman & Wakefield. We're so excited today because we have with us an awesome lady who is our guest. Her name is Linda Rabbitt. Linda Rabbitt is the founder and chairman of the Rand Construction, and she founded it in 1989. It was one of the very few female leaders in the industry at that time. She is still an active leader as the owner and chair of the board of directors and serves as a resource to the new CEO, which is a part of the leadership and management teams as they work to advance the vision and strategies for Rand's future. And we'd like to introduce to you today Mrs. Linda Rabbitt. And as we welcome Linda Rabbitt to the Language of Life podcast, we're so excited because doing this, our co-hosts are going to work with me. Danielle and Angela are going to work with me, and we're going to ask and share with Linda a few questions. But while we welcome Linda to the Language of Life podcast, Linda, I would like to open up with a question that I'd like to ask you. And that question is referring to, number one, can you tell me just a little bit about yourself and your background and your profession? Linda, the floor is yours.
Thank you for asking that question, Paul. I grew up in the Midwest in two suburbs of Detroit. My father was an immigrant from Germany and came to this country to be an engineer, an automotive engineer in the new industry of automobiles in 1925. He was a very, very proud man, and he was really my first mentor. He ended up with 19 patents in automotive engineering, and he said good enough is never good enough. So I got his affection and his attention when I produced and succeeded and accomplished things. So he told me I had to go to the University of Michigan. I went to the University of Michigan. It was during the Vietnam era, and I wanted to change the world. So I came to Washington and realized my first mistake is I didn't know anyone in Washington. So I did get a teaching job, which is what my mother wanted me to do. And I ended up marrying a very wealthy doctor and had two near perfect daughters. And unfortunately, I was young and I didn't really understand the signs and signals of mental illness. And he ended up being quite significantly mentally ill and self-medicated because he was a doctor. And it was called then manic depression. I ended up coming from this very proud family where I had achieved so many great things. And here I was, an abused spouse. At first, it was just verbal. It became physical. And at that time, I had to leave with my 3-year-old and 2-year-old and start life all over again at 32 years old. So the only job I could get was as a secretary because I had lost my teaching certificate, having taught for 3 years. So let's see, good thing I took typing in 9th grade because I got to be a secretary at $16,000 a year at KPMG. And I was quickly promoted to the managing partner's executive assistant and then to a marketing position, which I knew absolutely nothing about. But my boss at the time, a man named Steve Harlan, said, well, you're really smart, so go learn how to do it. So I did. I learned how to do marketing. And in 1985, a woman I knew in the community asked if I would be her partner to start the first woman-owned, woman-founded construction company in Washington. So I did that because that was a great opportunity for me to advance financially. Why did I do it? Well, I guess I had something to prove, and being doing that would certainly have been something to prove. In 1989, she and I separated. I started Rand Construction. Today, we're a $500 million company in 7 cities doing commercial interiors. And that's the story.
That is awesome, Linda, and how you got started. It's amazing because when I hear how you got started, I hear the ups and the downs, But generally, what that normally does is that kind of forms like a crown that you're able to place on your head, and that crown of success, which is showing forth even now as we are hearing the story in your story. The next question I wanted to ask you is that what do you think helped you the most to make a career or to make it in the career as a woman, as a successful woman in the workforce?
So I learned at KPMG. I had never, I was an English and American history teacher. I have never taken a business class. I've never taken an accounting course. So I had to learn everything on my own. And I remember saying to the managing partner at the time, "Sir, are you 10 times more clever than I am?" He said, "Oh no, Linda, you're very clever." "Are you 10 times smarter than I am?" He said, "No, you're very smart." "Are you 10 times more strategic than I am?" And he said, "No, you're really strategic." "Then why do you make 10 times more money than I do?" And he said, "Because I have a corner office. Go find yourself a corner office." So that's how I started the first company called Hart Construction. I went to find a corner office where I could succeed and raise my children, because my ex-husband had left the country with all our money.
So you have found, not only have you found your corner office, but you designed so many different offices and spaces for so many other successful organizations and companies. And of course, Angela and Danielle have the privilege of even walking through the office that your company designed here in Washington, D.C., which is beautiful. And I'm sure that the two ladies with me can attest to that. But I want to give way because I know Angela has an awesome question that she definitely wants to ask you as well, Linda. Again, and so I'm going to give the floor to Angela as she shares that question with you.
Thanks, Paul. So Linda, what I hear people say about you is you're very persistent, you're intentional, you notably focus on networking, innovation, quality, and customer service. In 1989, you were one of very few female leaders in the industry, the first at the time. Can you help us understand how you were intentional about who you networked with and how that has helped you grow Rand Construction to become the company it is today?
So networking is really about having a safety net of influential people that you can rely on through thick and thin. So when I first started in the industry, I didn't know anyone in the industry. My first partner did, but I didn't know anyone in the industry. And the industry completely ignored me. I mean, we were cute young blondes. We were kind of cute young blondes, and they made fun of us. So when I started, once we started getting work, and we got work from the Oliver Car Company in Washington, and prestigious organizations, Heinz Interests, we got noticed. But I had to go around the industry to build my network because my industry was blocking me. So I went to the Greater Washington Board of Trade. I went to Commercial Real Estate Women. I went to the Federal City Council and built a network of influencers. And so when the industry said, well, it's down to Rand and blank, the decision maker will say, well, I know Linda Rabbitt. I don't know blank. I prefer using her company. So the reason it was intentional was I had to find a way to break through. I didn't have the right credentials. And so I had to always keep proving that myself as a leader, as a business person, as a someone who could really deliver for them. And these were big name people. You know, our first clients were, of course, KPMG and some of the people I just named, and I couldn't let them down. So they gave me a chance, and I made sure that I delivered for them.
That's wonderful.
Awesome. Awesome. It's amazing. And it's amazing that you said networking, Linda. And I know that through networking, it's connected you with a lot of different people and businesses and owners. And how effective has networking been for you? And how effective is network for you even now, presently, for what you do even now at this point?
So I had an opportunity to meet Lou Holtz a few months ago and hear him talk about leadership. And he said, in business, people want to know, can I trust you? And then they want to know, are you as good at what you do as I am at what I do? And then they want to know, will you care about me? So people think that networking is having knowing a lot of people. It's not. That's not networking. Knowing a lot of people, caring about a lot of people, helping a lot of people, interacting with people in meaningful ways that are meaningful to them. That is building a network.
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. And I've got those notes down too. I told you I'm writing notes. There's another wonderful lady, Danielle, that has a question that she wants to share with you as well, Linda. And so, Danielle, I'll give the floor to you to share that question.
Thank you, Paul. I know. So, Linda, I think one of the biggest things I walked away with from our first interaction is that you just have so much wisdom and advice that you can share. And one of the things I think that I really am appreciative of is how transparent you are. I think that that's sometimes very rare in the corporate world, is transparency on advice. And I think that that is something very unique to you. And so my question is, what advice do you wish someone had given you when you were starting out that you believe could help others work to achieve their own successes?
Well, actually, I got great advice, and I was a sponge. I listened to really important people, and I remember to this day, that's 40 some years ago, when I first started, that what people said to me. One of my mentors said to me, what decision would you make if you took fear out of the equation? If you weren't afraid of it, what decision would you make? And that has stuck with me for so many years. Because, you know, there are scary things that happen in business. People leave you that you count on. You lose a project that you thought you were going to win. And so that was a really, really important piece of information for me. Another one said to me, when you walk into a room, there are only actually two kinds of people, clients and potential clients. And that has served me very well too. Everyone goes to an office, or when we go to these business functions, you know, these are all business people. They mostly go to an office. So he was right. There are two kinds of people in that room, clients and potential clients. Someone else said to me, there are only two kinds of people in the world, givers and takers. It's much better to be a giver than a taker, because takers lose at the game of business and at the game of life. So those were the pearls of wisdom that I received, that I try to hand down to other people. And I think what I told you when we met, that I try to tell women, is give people permission to give you advice. Say, how could I have done this better? Gee, we did this pitch, and how did I answer that question? Did I answer it in the best way? Women don't get as much feedback, sadly, as men do, has been my experience, because men don't know how to do it to women. They don't know how to communicate those ways. And so give them permission to tell you how you could have done something better. When somebody comes to me and says, I think I deserve a promotion, I say to them, I wish you had come into my office and said, I really aspire to be promoted. What is it that I need to do to get there?
That is awesome, Linda. Thank you for answering that question, because when you were talking and when Daniel asked that question, I was thinking, and I always say this term when I'm out, doing public speaking, is that the greatest teacher is one who remains teachable. It's always open to learn. There was a book I read that talked about the law of the lid. And, once you tap out in that area of learning, then there's no open place for you to learn even more new things. And so that makes you an even more greater influential person, because you're always open to learn. And so that's great. I noticed here, as we're drawing to a close here, and I hate to do this because this is so much information, but I see for over 3 decades, Rand Construction has delivered innovative commercial spaces across the nation. Rand's philosophy is always to put the clients first. And so we heard you just say that without us not even knowing that I was going to read that, and how you always put your clients first. And that's so effective, Linda. And I just want to thank you. Linda, what is the best way that people can find out information about the Rand Construction Company and how you got started? Where can they go? Is there a website that they can go to
Yeah.
tap in?
randcc.com.
Oh.
Or you can Google me, Linda D. Rabbitt, or the internet has lots and lots of information.
Great. Now, Linda, as I close, I'm always thinking about college students. My youngest son is at VCU now. And I'm always thinking about college students. I had a guest on my show earlier, a couple of shows back, and he was sharing there was a day when he was at his dorm, the last day he was at his dorm, and he had a job. He knew what area he wanted to go into as far as work, but he already had a job set up for him to go back home to North Carolina and go back to work. It wasn't the exact job that he wanted, but he was going there because it was going to keep him busy until something opened up for him. But he got a call at his dorm, and it was a major opening for a position that was in New York for him. And so, but he was at the place where he's about to make a major decision. So I'm thinking about a college student that's about to make a major decision. Life is coming at them. Life is knocking at the door. And it's time for them to really get out there and pursue specific things. What is it that you would give a college student that's at that place of making a major decision, about to really step into the real working world? What would you say to that college student as they begin to pursue various things?
Well, I'll tell you what I said to my 2 near perfect daughters when they left college. I don't really care what you do. I do care deeply that you're proud of how you conduct yourself and how you conduct your business life if you choose to go in business. I care deeply about how much you care about your community, about your friends, about your colleagues. And I just want you to be proud of who you are and what you stand for and what you believe in. The rest will come to you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Linda, for that. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Danielle, for teaming with me to ask this wonderful lady, Mrs. Linda Rabbitt, these awesome questions, but she gave some awesome answers. And I'm telling you, Linda, I know that I'm sure you've written several books, or you're about to write some more books. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to get some more information on you and read some more books, some of the books that you've written, because there's so much principles that you share when you answer questions and you tell your stories. I will say there was one thing that you said when you was here at Cushman, and you talked about how you started, when you started, and it just made an impact on me. You said, don't worry about the things before me. Let's just look at how I got started. After, I think it was after 30 or after 33, I forgot what the age was you said. And that to me sounded like a title on a book. And I sat there and I was like, oh, wow, that sunk into me, because it doesn't matter where you are in life. Never give up on your dreams. And that's what I want a lot of college students, a lot of persons that have felt like they failed. Never give up on your dreams. Like Linda said, be a trusting person, be a caring person, where people can entrust in you with what it is that they envision. And Linda, your company takes a person's vision and puts it together through the technology and then designs it and makes it come to pass. Thank you. I celebrate you, Linda. I appreciate all that you've done, all that you're doing, all that you will do, and how you inspire so many people, men and women. I am one man that is inspired by you. And I mean that. I mean
one at a time.
that.
Well, thank you so much. This has been really wonderful. And I could probably spend hours talking to you about all the ways I failed and had to recover, as well as all the successes, because that's what life is about. It's about picking yourself up and trying again and again and again until you get to your dream.
Great, great. And Linda, I have to ask you a question before we go. Would you be willing to come back again for part 2 of this language of life?
I would be happy to do anything you would like me to do on this subject.
Oh, I'm so honored. I am so honored. You don't know how excited I am. But anyway, we have to go now, you all. You all have heard it. We've had Mrs. Linda Rabbitt here with us. Our guest hosts have been Angela and Danielle. And we're so excited. And we thank you, ladies, for coming by and helping and working with me as being a part of this team as we had Linda. And those of you that are watching, you've heard it. And I want you to understand that the greatest teacher is one who remains teachable, always be in a place where you can learn and you can listen. And everybody is important. Everybody is somebody. My father said that there are no little I's and big U's. Everybody's somebody on the level ground. And so that's one of the things he taught me. So thank you all for being a part of the language of life. We hope that this has been an inspiration to you. We hope, college students, that this has given you some information, some points of references that you can look at this and be encouraged and say, yes, I'm not going to give up on my dream. I am going to continuously pursue, and I'm going to live out my dream, and I'm going to make it happen. And I'm going to be like Linda. I'm going to grab it and hold it and keep pressing forward. So thank you. We'll see you next time. Remember, the language of life is where making a difference starts here. See you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.